we are at lesson 2 for book D, and I started playing that first because this one is swung, and a lot of times kids have a hard time they lose track of what swing sounds like, and if they can hear the song as a whole, then all of a sudden they're like, oh, okay, they can hear that, and then they can remember it and imitate it. Sometimes decoding swing is a little bit trickier because when you're decoding swing, you're playing something that's not written there, so that's a little bit hard to do when it's not even seen. Swing, this is straight. These are eighth notes, and eighth notes played straight sound like this. Just like just like as they're written. But when you swing something, it's just like down at the bottom. The first one is long and then short. Long, short, long, short. Now, we're still counting quarter notes. Quarter notes are not swung ever. They're always played as written. It's the eighth notes we swing. And another way to think of long, short, long is to think of a heartbeat. Our heartbeat is actually a swung beat. So you may have a heartbeat that, let's do a heartbeat of about 70, just so I can give you an idea, which is a common heartbeat. So here's a heartbeat. Now make it sound like a heartbeat. We've got a really short da-dum, da-dum, da-dum. Right before we have the beat, we have a short. So the short is right before the beat. So another way to think of a swing, the eensy weensy spider is swung. The eensy weensy spider, that's a swung beat. Lots of children's songs are swung. You can probably sing a children's song and hear the swing in that. It doesn't have a lot of quarter notes. So that's another way to kind of get that into your head. I could teach the child the correct way to do it, which is if we had 16th notes, it would be one E and a, and the is the swung note, the one that we shorten, and the one is the actual eighth note. So it would be a one, a two, a three. You've probably heard somebody start music that way when they're starting to get the band to play. A one, a two, a three. That's what they're doing, is they're giving you the swing in it. I don't like I think and is better, because I've got kids looking at these eighth notes, and I personally use and when I say and one and two and three when I'm doing that, because I want them to think 1 and 2 and 3, so because eventually that's how they're going to count once we get a little more professional. In the beginning, though, I don't teach it that way because I want them to actually know what swing is, what it sounds like, what it feels like, before I want them to be able to count it properly. Counting it properly is really to help with others, and if you need to decode your music to try to figure out exactly how to play the rhythm, if you can't already hear it, it's for more advanced work. These kids really, I just want them to kind of just to get it, and then we can apply the hard stuff later, so that we can apply the formal counting later, because it's just too much for them. So getting back to how this is done, this is how I would have them learn this piece. Take a phrase and have them first look at their hands. If this one's in G position, look at their hands, look at the notes, figure out what they're playing. And I like them to look at their hands when they first start to practice, because I want them to have this picture of what's under their fingers, because they're not supposed to look down at their hands. So they're making that picture in the beginning of what they're playing. Like, for instance, when we're playing these notes, I want them to see this. I want them to have this in their mind, that these are the notes they're using. And then they work out what the melody is. Then they can read it. But I want them to have that in their mind. So look at their hands. Then when they look up and they've got the notes right, have them count it out. And as soon as they can play it with the rhythm, then you want them to add the swing. So we add the swing last. So in other words, okay, they figure out what it is. It's thirds. So they're going to play straight. Then they swing it. And then they practice that. And they have to use their ears when they practice. I think This is like jazz. We want to make sure that they're feeling it on the inside. So close your eyes often when you play it. This is syncopated here. It sounds very syncopated, which means the important notes are on the offbeat. And so instead of the important notes being on 1, 2, 3, they're on the ands in between. 1 and 2 and 3 and that's a very American jazz kind of sound, this syncopation that we have in our history of jazz music, which is fantastic. So here's how we would count this. We get to the bottom here, and it's long, short. Whoops, I'm on B here. Long, short, and this is long, and the one up here, the G is fast. So this is long, short, fast, fast, long, fast, and then long, fast. So here it says long, short. I should probably be saying it that way. Short, long, short. And then this is the beat. So when you have the metronome going, I would start it at about 70 or even slower. When you've got that going, then you are actually going to be hearing the tick, but not playing. And then you play this note in between the ticks. Tick, tick. And so when you're watching the music, the ticks for the quarter notes are going to be on the first note of the eighth note of the barred notes here, of the 2 eighth notes together, the pairs. So the tick comes here, 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 here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's how you want to do this one. And then they can just read it, and then swing it. The first one, with the flag, is fast. Long, short, long. And the only place they might have a little bit of, where they may need to notice, other than having this come in right away, this is a B flat and a G, and there's another G right there. Now, once they get that into their muscle memory, this is kind of a little variation of that. And once they get down here, it goes up to A, and then it goes down to G. So even though we have 2 Gs here, we only have 1 G played here. So that's something to notice. There's a rest here. So nothing is going on in this hand. This hand needs to come up, although it does stay down in these 2 measures. All right, this is really a fun one. Have them take the repeat too, so that they can hear a tick. They'll hear 1 rest. Here, they'll hear the rest, and then they start again. And honestly, I would have them play with the metronome until they can really, really, really do it well. And 110 would be your maximum speed on this. I wouldn't go any faster. So this is the solo book, and this is the only new piece we're doing this week. This is our only thing. We don't have anything in technique that goes with this, and we don't have any paperwork. And with book B, or book D, our goal with book D is to perfect what we're playing. The first week that we do a song, we did this one last week, we started it. The first week we want to just learn it. Can you play the notes in the right rhythm? They don't have to make it sound fantastic. They want to play it correctly. So the first week is playing it correctly, but the second week is going to be playing it well. And this is really where the hard part of playing piano comes in, because you can play something correctly, but if you just stop there, you're never going to be very good. You're going to get better at piano if you take what's correct and then you make it better. You play it well. And how do we do that? What are we talking about? We're listening, we're using our ears, we're changing the tone, we're using our wrist to come off notes carefully, or we're getting them nice and tight. We're making sure that we can use that metronome perfectly. And most importantly, we're paying attention to dynamics. So this is the week where we're going to work on dynamics. Now, our dynamics here are very general. This just means get louder. And when you see it come together, it means get quieter. But this is general. Remember with this, now we have to go back to playing straight again, not swung. This may be loud to soft, or soft to loud. Actually, it shows soft to loud. So it's getting loud, and that may be nice and steady, but you may not want to play that for these. In fact, I like to punch that first note. Whoops. I over exaggerated just a bit. So even though you're getting louder, the first note of this little group, of this little trio of notes, I like that one a little bit louder. Then you take this group a little bit louder. So it's not every note gets louder, but you think about the general idea of what's going on in this phrase. So generally what you're doing here is you're getting louder and then you're bringing it back down at the end. But this note I don't think is softer than this note. In fact, I would play that one. That's my soft note there. And then I would punch that one a little bit more. Not loud, but louder than that one. Because I think it's important. I think it's important, especially if you read the words. So add your dynamics there. Think about how things sound. You might test out every note and see, well, would it be better to have this one louder than that one? In fact, generally as with the kids, I tell them if they're going up, you want it to get louder. And then the top is the loudest. Obviously, as they go up, it's loudest. But, I wouldn't have this last note here be the loudest. Think of going up to a hill and landing gently. I think the one right before the last note should be the loudest. Because once you get up there, you're coming off. Listen to that again. And then it just kind of gracefully kind of dies away. And then it comes in a little stronger again. There I would have the top note be the loudest, but then I would let that one not quite be the loudest. So this is what we're going to do that second week when we do these pieces. If they can come and are able to play it, then we're going to polish it up and make it really fun, cool, or gorgeous, whichever it requires. So that is lesson or week number 2 in book D.